I'm not ready yet, ready to forget now. I'm not ready yet, ready to forget.
at Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn 1.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, 7 laps of Spa-Francorchamps?
Yeah. We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport.
Cranston and Smith are side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. So they go back up the hill towards the Schumacher. Nils Core clips the back at 10. Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Core. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my god, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail when it hit me in the right direction. Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Finish. I think Dennis Melchett has done enough to win the last round of the championship and to win the title all in one fell swoop.
It's a pretty boring car championship. Things are never chilled here. Honestly, the cars may be a bit dull, but wow, the racing certainly isn't.
Fastest lap of the race now, Ben Lambert.
Look at Andy Fox coming through the middle. He makes a little bit of contact. Dave Waldock is around and he's off on the grass.
Rayfield tries to go right round the outside of Druids. You do not do that and get away with it very often.
Takes the win in round 12. There's contact again. Fraser Smith and Dennis Melchett are off the circuit.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to the CDM British Boring Car Championship. Welcome to Season 4 and welcome to Rounds 3 and 4 from the delightful Silverstone circuit, the international layout. It is the 2008 layout here, the old version of Silverstone, where the British Touring Car Championship used to race in the late 1990s into the early 2000s. My name is Chaz Draycott. I'm delighted to have once again alongside me in the commentary box Ed May. Ed, we had an amazing start to the season back at Donington Park just last week. This should be just as much fun, I think, here, with a bit of slipstreaming thrown in.
Yes, it was really wonderful. Some new faces joined us for the first time just a week ago, and we had some familiar faces as well joining us on the circuit, and it was a brilliant way to kick off the British Boring Car Championship at Donington Park. Obviously, we've got the championship standings to look through. It's early days, but already a great impression has been made by Morgan Burkhardt on this championship.
Yeah, absolutely has. He's done a real solid job. However, importantly, he is not here tonight, so he will not be defending that current championship lead. So we're going to keep an eye on exactly what happens between all the other drivers tonight and what they can get as an advantage over him. We will see. But as you can see, it's him and Jake Cranstone at the moment right up there. Then there's only 2 points between the next 4 drivers. Stephen Burns, John Bailiff, Kyle Ridley and Taylor Adams. It's very close there. The team's championship is ridiculous. Team Jane Fonda and Might Just Fit tied on 42 points each with Nodaphone. And then Red Ring, Ericsson Hitters and Dodgy MOT all separated by 1 point. Morgan Burkhardt leading the way in the Mediocre Cup for Independence. But How long will that last? We'll have to wait and see. Cars out on track then, and a good opportunity for us to thank our championship sponsors. Thank you Abruzzi, thank you Derbyshire Holiday Homes, and thank you Orris Digital for their support of the British Boring Car Championship here on Chaz Draycott Media. We hope you've been all enjoying the fun up to now. It's only going to get better here tonight at Silverstone, and as the drivers get prepared for qualifying, we'll head into a cockpit view in just a moment and see what this circuit has in store for you all. If any of you haven't seen this layout of this track before, then trust me, you are in for a real treat. It's a great circuit, this one. One of my absolute favourites. It was, a staple of my childhood as I grew up. And hopefully it'll be a staple of some great racing here tonight. Who's the first driver to head out onto the circuit? John Bailiff, one of them. We'll go on board with John. We'll get an idea, although Andy Fox actually has led the field away. We'll see what these guys get up to in the mid-pack. And as you see, it's the old Silverstone layout, so it's Copse that is effectively turn 1. You can join the circuit here or further down on the right-hand side. But as you go into Maggots and Beckett's, boy, it's tricky, although it looks like John Bailiff doesn't want to quite fill in that gap at the moment. We'll go on board with Eric Manintveld, who's just gone past. Cars are easy to unsettle through Maggots and Beckett's and into that hairpin, though, aren't they, Ed? You can see them bouncing around already.
Yes, and another thing that drivers have been complaining about is actually the cones that litter the sides of the circuit. They can get knocked around and actually find themselves lodged underneath these Jettas, and that can cause them to struggle to turn in, and it's already caused a couple of accidents in the practice session at least, and a lot of drivers have actually been saying that it could be race defining, so that's something to keep an eye on later on in the day. Right now in qualifying, like you say, you're following on board with Eric Manintveld going under the bridge, and a shame that it's not on the current Silverstone layout. It's such a wonderful corner, the way it dips down, the car's really nice and tight as the suspension compresses underneath the bridge. Carry a lot of speed through there, but then obviously you've got this wonderful section, Brooklands, Luffield, to round out the lap. And just look at that, he's trying to get it to turn. Just put more lock on, hopefully it works.
That's all you have to do in these Jettas, is put more lock on, more and more, and it will go around. Across the line goes Eric Manintveld then to begin his qualifying lap. I think it was Andy Fox that was leading the group, though. He's right at the front of it in the Team Bordeaux machine. Andy, after round 1, finds himself 13th in the championship with a 13th and a 12th. Both point-scoring positions, though. And that's another exciting thing to speak about here this evening, Ed, because we've got just 14 cars out there on track. A bit of absence, unfortunately, this evening. But you only need to finish in the top 15 to score points. So as long as people finish races tonight, they will be guaranteed points in the championship. And, I mean, how many events have you and I covered where just 1 point makes all the difference?
Far too many. Far too many. We've seen it decide championships, didn't we? Actually saw it decide, wasn't it, the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, on numerous occasions. Actually, last time out, where it was a driver that didn't win a single race ended up taking the title in the end. So we could still see that here this season, as long as the drivers are consistent in their results. Could see a very surprising outcome. Of course, still early days in the season before we can make any real predictions on who's going to be coming out on top.
Jake Cranstone here.
So the train of Jettas.
I was going to say, Jake Cranstone hanging out with all his mates here, really, to be honest. He's got Eric Manintveld right in front of him. Stephen Burns ahead of that. Jake is often teammates with Stephen Burns where they can be in Masters of Torque. But Jake, second in the championship last time out. That's why he wears the number 2 on the side of the car. Any of the drivers, basically, that have smaller numbers on their cars are the ones that, well, that's where they finished last season, effectively. As the times now come through, it's Cranstone fastest from Taylor Adams, who is the fastest independent. The independents have the blue number boards on the cars, and you can also see the little blue stripe next to their positions on the timing screen on the left. Eric Manintveld is 10th, but he didn't have a representative lap time, really. Only half a second between the top 5. It's Dopart, Bailiff, Fox, Burns, Van Olst, Ridley and Alfa Henriksen next up. Donny Alfa Henriksen in the dodgy MOT car. He moves out of the way, though, for Stephen Burns to come through. Cranstone's got a bit of a run by the look of it. There's the 2 Nodaphone cars working together. Sam Van Olst and his teammate John Bailiff. you'll be able to tell them apart by not just the car numbers, but the different windscreen banners as well. One red, one blue. That's how they often used to do it in the British Touring Car Championship. Different coloured windscreen banners on the cars. The other independent so far racing with us tonight is JB Maceda, Jean-Baptiste, and he hasn't set a representative time yet, but it's, again, easy to get an off track around here, isn't it, Ed? Because it's so flat, you have to really push as much as you can towards those curbs. And how many times again have we seen drivers ruin qualifying laps with just the odd millimetre here and there too much?
Yeah, JB seemed really quite comfortable though in that last sector, really throwing it at the corners, which is what you need to do in these Jettas, throw it into the corner, try and carry the momentum all the way out as well. Maybe just grabbed a little bit too much speed. We'll see when he comes over the line. So hopefully set his first lap time of the session. See if it's a valid one as he comes over the line. 5th fastest for Jean-Baptiste Maceda. Getting a nice lap on the board, but he's quickly dethroned by Sam Van Alst, and then a whole gaggle of cars coming through. Dopart now to the top.
Yeah, Patrick Dopart was right up there as well in the Donington qualifying session in the Ericsson Hitters machine. He's threatening to be a great one-man band this season. He's the only one in that team, unfortunately. He and Ben Bennyworth are sort of sole traders in their squads, so to speak. We do have a few drivers that haven't made it to a round yet this season. Naveed Hussein, he's been having VR headset issues. James Holman has been away. Togo Hisada also away for the first couple of rounds. James driving for Team Red Ring. Togo and Naveed, both independents in the championship. Everybody's put a time on the board at the moment, though. Now the rest of the session is just about improving those times. Kyle Ridley currently 2nd fastest at the minute. He'll be happy with that. The team at the moment tied for the top of the team's championship with Might Just Fit. Duncan Murray and Jake Cranstone, their main rivals. Kyle actually giving a bit of slipstream to Murray right now, but Team Jane Fonda, they've got a bit more to lose, haven't they, Ed, being the reigning team's champions in the effective Honda Accords on the grid?
Yes, and we'll see if they can continue that here this season. And just this sea of Jettas, isn't it? The procession make their way out of Luffield, and a good slipstream actually is Stephen Burns from 2 miles up ahead. I think those are the 2 Nodaphone cars of John Bailiff and Sam Van Alst. Cranstone improves, but not quite enough to get onto the top of the order. Look at the run though through Copse. Burns on for a flyer, and John Bailiff I think is just trying to peel off, get out of the way.
Yeah, a
see
few
if
of
he
them.
can maybe get a little bit more slipstream on, but of course drivers are really trying to get a shift on because just of the way the session runs, isn't it, Chaz? It's going to be with the heat racing. As soon as the checkered flag falls, that's the end of the session.
And Jack Wells having a moment has just caused an issue for 3 of these guys, unfortunately. He's just had a big old slide, but that's one of the moments that we were talking about through there. We'll go back on board with Donny Alpha Henriksen. I think it was Ben Bennyworth actually that was right behind him, or maybe even Duncan Murray. Duncan Murray it is that is right behind. We'll go on board with Duncan. Just watch Jack's car in front here, the effective Audi A4. I gave them an idea of this in the driver's briefing, but the weight transfer, massive in these cars. Look how well it goes around. Even these cars will slide and spin. That's great avoidance by everyone behind, in fairness, but those laps now will be ruined for those guys. And Patrick Dopart will be maybe a little bit happy about that, as he is currently fastest at present. But we had a great old time at Donington Park, didn't we, with drivers so close in terms of lap time. It's mad to think that, well, that's going to be the sort of gaps that we see all season, as into the pits now comes the lead set, effectively. Jake Cranstone, the only one from the top 5 that is still out on the circuit. Adams in, Dopart in. I think he's just going to get the car out of the way. Ben Bennyworth is currently propping up the times, but he's about half a second off of Jack Wells, and I think that that's only due to the fact that he wouldn't have got a representative time in that time round. He's really pushing the car, and he's backed out of this one as well.
Yeah, I think ran a little bit wide, got on off track, and once more his session is just becoming more and more frustrating for Bennyworth.
Just feels like the car doesn't want to behave itself, does it? Even though, you know, you can see the understeer clearly, but the real trick with this car is honestly just put more lock on and it will go round the corner. It's an absolute dream machine for that sort of stuff. We've got Dopart, Ridley, Adams and Burns coming out of the pit lane. Actually, Stephen Burns, to be fair, isn't coming out of the pit lane at the moment. He's staying in there as we speak.
On for a lap by the looks of things. JB Masida with around about 30 seconds to go. Chucking it under the bridge. Again, this final sector is one where he seems to be, look at that, the confidence just to throw the car in at the corners, but I think he just scrubs a little bit too much speed in doing so. It's not necessarily carrying that same momentum out of the corners, which is so crucial in these Jettas because just of the lack of power they've got.
An important thing for these guys tonight as well in the Mediocre Cup for Independence. There's only 3 of them. Taylor Adams, Eric Manintveld and JB Masida. They've got their own points system to think about as well. It's 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in the Independence. So they've got a much closer point system to think about as Masida goes 9th. But they've not got Morgan Burkhardt here tonight. They don't have Ferran Grau, Naveed Hussein or Togo Hisada here tonight. So with only 3 of the independents being out on circuit, this is even more so for those guys than for the overall championship. This is the time to score big points. They really need to be on it here. Manintveld currently 2nd at the moment behind Taylor Adams in terms of the independents. Taylor is going to start right in front of him on the grid in 4th place if it stays like this, but we've seen these sessions change around before. It's currently Patrick Dopart fastest. He's about to head on to another lap right up behind Taylor Adams. Ridley just in front of those guys as well. They won't want to be going anywhere as we ride on the nose of our current pole sitter. So much commitment needed through Cops there, Ed, even in these cars.
Yeah, you can't afford to muck about and half-ask it. You've got to really just throw it in and have the confidence in the car. I think that's the most important thing around Silverstone. It's a very sort of confidence-driven circuit. It's one that a lot of the drivers will be pretty familiar with, especially the ones who've raced here in the past with us and these British boring cars. I think actually last time we were here was 2023. We were looking through a lot of our files, weren't we, Chaz, from all the cameras we've been using. I think it was a couple of years ago now, but again, for a lot of the veterans of iRacing, this was basically the version of iRacing that, or this version of Silverstone that was really to be used, wasn't it? There wasn't any other.
No.
Even when they'd obviously had the new scans, it took them a while to get it up and rolling.
I think license is the main issue with Silverstone. There's, I happen to know from other games and things that I've worked with that there is a substantial amount of money requested to license Silverstone for your sim or game. Like a substantial amount of money. It's crazy, actually. I know you'd want a lot, but flipping out, it seems like greed, I'm afraid. We ride on board here with Kyle Ridley, 3rd at the moment, 5th in this queue of cars. In front of him there is John Bailiff, then I believe Jake Cranstone, just ahead of that. We'll go forward one by one here. To Bailiff, you've got Cranstone in front of that. Then in front of him you've got Taylor Adams, and then ahead of him you've got Patrick Dopart. So 5 of them together with Sam van Olst slotting back out onto the circuit in a lovely bit of timing. Side by side there with his teammate. He remains out of the way, which is good. Good stuff by Sam. He'll try and now get back up to speed to hopefully chase these guys down and benefit from a bit of slipstream. But because we use the heat racing system here in the British Boring Car Championship, as soon as that clock hits 0, the session is over. The cars are removed from the circuit. Nobody else's laps can be added on. And it's about 1 minute 35. No, he won't. He won't get another chance to set a lap. I think he's just using this as maybe a lap and a half's more practice. I don't know.
Could be getting used to obviously racing in this format, the long train of cars, which we're so used to seeing in Jettas, isn't it, Chaz? The way that these cars are so sort of held together by the slipstream, and there were some excellent battles and fights. But yeah, like you mentioned, the clock has now ticked past 1 minute and 35 seconds, so drivers coming across the line where they, well, whatever laps they set are going to be all they can set for the remainder of this session. No more last chances. Here we go. Taylor Adams rounding out of the final corner. He's going to hug it nice and tight up until the line. So will Jake Cranstone. So will, well, the rest of the pack in behind. Come over the line. Jake Cranstone, purple final sector. Is that enough? Yes, just by 1/100 of a second to Patrick Dopart. Cranstone manages to get that pole position he was working so hard to try and take right at the end of the session, as someone's had an almighty crash in towards Cops there.
John Bailiff, who else? John Bailiff, always a bit of a joker, throws it into the scenery. Eric Manentveld has 30 seconds to get across the line. I'm not sure if he's going to do that or not. He's got no improvements on this lap, though, so I don't particularly think he's got all reason to keep pushing, but why not? You've got to try it. 20 seconds to go. He might just be okay here. I think Andy Fox is a little bit more on the brink than him in the Team Bordeaux car, the beautiful Peugeot just behind. 10 seconds. This is going to be really close.
Just to make it, because the timing beam was pretty quick, isn't it? It comes up to you pretty much now.
2. He's not. No, he's not, because it's there. Oh, Manentveld didn't get across it, and he remains in 7th position. Wow. Oh, that was utterly, utterly on the brink, that was. But unfortunately for them, didn't amount to anything. So, a quick thanks to Abruzzi, Derbyshire Holiday Homes, and, of course, Orris Digital for their sponsorship of the British Boring Car Championship. Let's get the first race of the night underway, shall we? Jake Cranstone takes pole position with Patrick Dopart alongside him. Just 10,000ths of a second between the two. Kyle Ridley is in 3rd place with Taylor Adams, the lead independent. He was mere thousandths ahead of John Bailiff, who was also mere thousandths ahead of Stephen Burns. Then it's Eric Manentveld and Duncan Murray. And we have JB Maceda in 9th place. Sam Van Olst will line up in 10th. He's ahead of Andy Fox and Donny Alpha Henriksen. They make up the 6th row of the grid. Then it's Jack Wells and Ben Bennyworth completing the order. Jack and Ben not coming here with the most amount of confidence in their pace here tonight, but to be honest, I think as long as they survive, they'll be fine for some good championship points. Here's Andy Fox. The curved grid here lending some benefit to those on the inside line on the right-hand side of the grid. Jake Cranstone on pole position. John Bailiff is going to be the final car to line up on the grid. We're about to get the countdown underway. The countdown will reset now. And here we go then. Lights come on, and round number 3 of the 2025 British Boring Car Championship here on Chaz Draycott Media is underway, and it looks like a great start from the 2nd row of the grid. Ridley and Adams both get a really good launch. Cranstone was tidy. Murray and Maceda making a little bit of contact there in the mid-pack. Hopefully not moving over on each other too much. Murray moves slightly to the right, but it looks like they've sorted it all out by the time they get down to turn 1. Eric Manentveld on the inside of Stephen Burns. Murray and Maceda right with each other still. The rest of the guys at the back trying just to cling on for dear life. Jake Cranstone, really tidy getaway there. Patrick Dopart side by side with Taylor Adams. Taylor won't want to ruin anything here because he's in the lead of the independents. There's a look down the inside from John Bailiff on Taylor. Nothing doing there this time as Andy Fox is gaining places. Maceda's been off slightly. He's lost a bit of ground, and that's not going to help him in the independents either as they all run down towards the hairpin for the first time.
Yeah, great start from Jake Cranstone. Kyle Ridley as well, up into 2nd place. Not so great for Patrick Dopart, but these races still have a long way to go in them. Oh, that's amazing moves. That's a great little bit of nose to tail there. Eric Manentveld battling away with John Bailiff. John, I think, just basically squeezing the door shut across his nose. Thankfully, didn't result in contact, but it has to go defensive actually, as in behind. Once more, Eric Manentveld is trying to get past. Meanwhile, we're on board with John Baptiste Maceda, trying to find a way through and past Andy Fox. That Team Bordeaux Jetta's doing a really great job of just being as wide as possible, carrying the speed through the corners as well to make it so difficult to make a pass. But now look at how close they are as we come to Jake Cranstone. Got a bit of a gap now, half a second as he crosses the line. First lap out of the way. Now needs to get through the remaining 18 minutes. It's Ridley, Dopart, Adams, Bailiff, Manentveld in behind Taylor Adams. He's going to be hungry for more as well, as he can see if there's any way past Patrick Dopart, a driver who was for a lot of that qualifying session set to be on pole position.
Yeah, Dopart won't be pleased with the fact he's lost 2nd place on the opening lap as well. There's only been a little bit of movement here and there. JB Maceda lost 2 places in all of that. We'll see where that happened. Andy Fox was one of the ones that benefited from him. I think it was actually just on the run in towards the hairpin. Let's have a look here. He went off the circuit. Andy goes round the outside. And oh, dearie me, Jack Wells very late on the brakes, actually, down the inside there. I think they were lucky to get away with that, to be honest with you. Kyle Ridley, second place at the minute, chasing down Jake Cranstone for the lead. You said earlier, Ed, that Jake Cranstone had half a second lead. That's an absolute age in boring car terms. And at the moment, well, he's winning by a mile. Look at him sideways through there. But that's the absolute art form of driving these cars. You have to be right on the limit of it. And you can lose it. We saw drivers do that in qualifying. So you have to be careful. You can't take the mick with this car. It can be a bit of a laugh. And it can be quite easy to drive. But to get pace out of it, you can't overdo it. You can't sort of take it lightly, can you?
Cranstone's so strong through that final sector, nearly pulling out 10th and a half ahead of Kyle Ridley, but all of that hard work gets undone on the run in towards Cops Corner as Kyle Ridley does set the fastest lap of the race so far. Obviously helped by the slipstream, of course, but Cranstone's doing a great job of just keeping Ridley sort of close enough so that he has to worry, but not close enough that there's any concern of a move that's going to be on the horizon, really. So Jake sort of was playing with Kyle, keeping him in that little bubble with relative safety, all while in behind, well, that trio could start to battle as, oh, Duncan Murray's just had a moment there and is dropping down through the field like a stone. I'd like to see if there's a replay, if there was contact, or if it was just a little bit of a mistake. Sometimes these cars, when you get onto the brakes hard enough, they just struggle to turn in.
Something else was right behind him as Sam gets his nose down the inside. Oh, Duncan has to get out of it, so he was going in deep. And then Burns as well went deep and he had to back out of it. But Duncan Murray has had another further issue here. We're going to keep an eye on this. He's side by side with JB Masida down towards the hairpin, but he's lost a number of places. He's gone down the inside into there. That's way too hot, Duncan. And yeah, the inevitable contact has happened. I think maybe he was driving a little bit annoyed at himself trying to gain places back there. And JB Masida is another one that's also had a bit of a hellish race so far. So those guys will not be too pleased with one another, to say the least. But back at the front is Cranstone, Ridley, Dopart, Adams and Bailiff, all in a line. Manintveld in there as well, second in the independents. Stephen Burns has got the attention of Sam Van Olst right now. Sam is definitely not leaving him alone, is he? Right on the back of the Team Jane Fonda car after he saw that little mistake before.
Ridley and Bailiff with basically identical lap times there, both really trying hard to gain in their respective battles, but right now Kyle Ridley is, I think, the driver to watch. He's getting ever so close to that rear of Jake Cranstone. It's just so difficult to try and get the momentum out of Ireland as you get all the way down to the hairpin where Abbey is.
And we don't have our reigning champion with us this season either. And Jake Cranstone and Kyle Ridley, as you can see by their car numbers, were second and third in the championship last season. Patrick Dopart was fifth, John Bailiff seventh, Stephen Burns eighth, Sam Van Olst sixth. So the drivers that we do have are of a very high level. Andy Fox was 12th in last season's championship as well. We have Stuart Clark with us. Stuart ended up in 16th. I think he missed a number of the rounds in the previous season. But we've got a lot of pedigree, not just from the previous seasons of the British Boring Car Championship, but also the Racing Line Jetta TDI Cup. That's where a lot of these guys came over from into Season 3, and we were very grateful to have them. They are some of the finest Jetta drivers on iRacing, and these lot do a lot of the official races. They do a lot of production car races as well. Ed and I have both commentated on endurance championships that include the Jetta with these guys behind the wheel. I mean, namely, Jake Cranstone was flying in that as well, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He seems to really enjoy this car, but like we said before about Jake, he struggled to find a car that he is not quick in.
Yeah,
he seems to be able to get in anything and just pedal it to its limits. Plus, he's a nice guy as well, so it's difficult to find fault with him, which is so rather annoying. Rather annoying because he's quick, and you want to have an excuse to, you know, dislike him, so it feels, you know, a little bit less sore, I guess, when you get beaten by him. But no, he's just ever so quick. And he's displaying that right now as he's again gapping Kyle Ridley over this first sector. Patrick Dopart could fancy a little bit of a move here as he's just a tenth of a second back from the Australian.
Yeah, all these guys are sort of just lingering and waiting, aren't they? Stephen Burns has just made a move in the background, or has had a move made on him, sorry. Sam Van Olst has gone through now. gained a position on the Team Jane Fonda car, and that's spread out the field a little bit there. There was only about a second earlier, but that's lost them about 6/10 to the cars in front. Stephen's not going to take that lightly, but we'll have a look at the move. Sam is right on his rear bumper, scrapes the word Jetta off the back of it, and again as he goes from left to right. He's just going to outbrake him down the inside into the hairpin, makes his intentions clear, gets it stopped for the apex. Stephen gives him loads of room. That is really respectful stuff, boys. You love to see it. But now we go back to this, because Taylor Adams, 4th place at the moment. He's got John Bailiff right behind him, and then Eric Manintveld right behind that. But he has got the front row seat for this battle for the lead. Hope you're all enjoying the action so far here in the Chaz Draycott Media British Boring Car Championship here on Chaz Draycott Media. Thanks to our sponsors, Abruzzi, Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Orris Digital. Hope you're all enjoying the show. Ants Cambridge, thanks very much for the kind words regarding the commentary. We hope that the racing lives up to it. It may not be all the overtakes in the world going on right now, but the fun part of these races is the chase when they're in a pack like this. Who can keep their head, who's going to crack under the pressure, and who's going to make the mistakes, because these are the moments where just one little wobble is going to completely change this race, isn't it, Ed? You've got Eric Manintveld here wanting to get ahead of Bailiff to chase down Taylor Adams for the independent lead, but overall positions will mean so much more to these guys at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we saw earlier that Duncan Murray, when he had his moment, he dropped down through the field like a stone just because of how close all of these drivers are to one another. Manintveld there's just struggling to get the drive out of the corner. Thankfully doesn't have any pressure from behind. He's got 2 seconds to Sam Van Olst in the other of the Vodafone cars, Eric Manintveld. And we'll be probably sick of seeing those Vodafone cars by the end of the race, stuck between the pair of them.
Just noticed
as well, though, it's not just the one race tonight, is it, Chaz? We do have 2 to look forward to. So the feature being a little bit longer. Maybe that'll play into the drivers' minds of just sort of banking the positions for now, obviously knowing that they'll be up towards the front again for the second race.
Yeah, absolutely. Top 10 on the grid from this first race will be reversed, so whoever finishes the race in 10th will start on pole position for race 2, and it's a 25-minute feature race as well. No pit stops like we used to have, it's just out-and-out sprint racing, but still the guys have to put in a lot of hard work to get there. Ben Bennyworth, unfortunately, has come into the pit lane. He was at the back of the field earlier after a bit of drama. I think Duncan's gone past him, and Ben heads into the pit lane. And then he pulls it over and then I believe jumps into the pit box, and he's been there since. So not sure what the problem is for Ben, but unfortunately the car has been retired. As long as the guys finish a race tonight, they will be scoring points. So it's all about survival really, and you can sort of tell that at the moment. These guys don't want to put themselves in a tough spot to start their evening, do they? They're all being really careful and cautious here. We've got 6 cars, the top 6, separated by less than 2 seconds for this race lead. All it takes is for one of them to get it wrong. One of these guys in this group will catch them out and get it right. And then even behind that as well, Donny Alpha Henriksen is currently in 10th. He'll be on pole position for race 2 in the dodgy MOT machine. But he's got guys helping him along as well, with Andy Fox, Stephen Burns and Sam Van Olst right in front of him.
Well, you did mention at the top of the broadcast, Chaz, tonight is the night to score points with some big heavy hitters, the likes of Morgan Burkhardt, not out here tonight. And with the points going all the way down to 15th with 14 drivers out on track, does mean that it's going to be a race to just finish, get through in one piece, and hopefully that will carry you in good stead for the remainder of the season. It might not be necessarily a sort of pivotal moment in the championship, but all of these little things can and often do add up over the course of a season.
JB Messina has gone past Jack Wells for P11 on that previous lap. He's in the slipstream here. Jack said that he was worrying about his pace and he was going to let some of the faster guys through at a convenient opportunity when he can, and he has lived up to that. As Jack, fair play to him. He was on fire at Donington Park. He was really flying, but he said earlier on tonight, I have absolutely zero clue where I'm missing nearly a second a lap, so I'm just going to be vibing. And he is. He says, please don't battle me too hard. I'll let you by at a convenient spot. Great sportsmanship. And at the end of the day, he knows that as long as he finishes, he'll get some points for his troubles. So far in the championship, Jack Wells is 9th with a total of 13 points to his name. He is tied at the moment with Patrick Dopart, but Patrick being in third, that is going to change after this race if it finishes that way anyway. Cranstone still with 7.5 minutes to go here, leads the way. Kyle Ridley is the only one inside the top 5 that's moved places, and he's gained 1 spot to get ahead of Patrick Dopart. But I feel like the longer this race goes on here, Ed, the more impatient these guys are going to be, and the more we're going to see potential moves before the end.
Ridley's starting to get a little bit impatient now, actually. You can see just a little look to the inside. You can see him there just letting him know that he's there, filling those rearview mirrors. He goes in towards Cop's corner. Wonderful from Ridley there, almost on cue, as if he could hear us saying it in the car, that he's just slowly by slowly turning the screw, isn't he? Putting the pressure on while trying to resist it from behind. Obviously, Patrick Dopart is going extremely well this season. Nearly put it on pole if it wasn't for that amazing lap at the end by Jake Cranstone. Going to come to this second pack, isn't it, that we see on our screens, the battle for 7th place. Donny Alfa Henriksen in the middle of it, currently occupying
typical.
what would be a reverse grid pole position.
Typically, as soon as we look away, that's when the lead changes. Kyle Ridley gets past Jake Cranstone. The two of them kiss wing mirrors and exchange vinyl as they head down towards Bridge. Stephen Burns and Andy Fox have had a drama further back as well. It's all kicking off. Now it's suddenly erupted here as Cranstone has to defend side by side with Kyle Ridley. Patrick Dopart looking down the inside now. They remain side by side into Brooklands. These two, second and third last season, two of the absolute hot shots of the championship, with Patrick Dopart with a point to prove, the only Volvo out there as such. Taylor Adams is in the thick of this, but he won't want to get involved too quickly because he's got to think about his independent lead as well. We need to go back and have a look at what happened to Stephen Burns as well. I feel there may have been maybe a little bit late braking here from some of these guys. That's way late by Donny Alfa Henriksen. And they end up 3 wide. They all keep their foot planted to try and get out of it. And Burns is the one that loses out. He'll be wondering, what are you doing, boys? I mean, Donny got his nose down the inside in fairness, but I don't know if Stephen would have had the call to be 3 wide there. He'll feel very hard done by when he watches that one back.
Yeah, and that's taken Stephen Burns out of what would have been, I believe, an 8th place finish, now down to a 13th, outside as well of that reverse grid. So that's nearly his entire race evening completely going southwards. Well, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
It was just in one small moment, and again, he's not really to blame for it. Man,
No.
look at that, closing right up to John Bailiff there, getting himself into this fight. Jake Cranstone continues to just about cling on to the lead of the race, Chaz, but in behind, Ridley and Dopart once more battling nose to tail.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that incident. It just seemed like a bit of a racing incident because they're all doing their own thing. It wasn't a particularly silly move by Donny Alfa Henriksen or anything. He put his nose down the inside as he was entitled to. I think the fact that the contributing factor was that Burns then ran wide. Andy Fox didn't, unnecessarily squeeze him to the apex. He was trying to stay out of the way of Burns. I don't think Donny Alfa Henriksen could have known they were 3 wide. They probably weren't even 3 wide. Andy was probably 2 wide with both of them at the same time, but the other two were so far apart that they didn't actually have an overlap. So a tricky one that, but obviously the reviews will be done after the race meeting on a lot of occasions. There are more stewarding decisions to be made this season than there were in the past. A lot of the time it was just gentlemen's agreements and things, and we didn't really do any stewarding, but a lot of the time it's either 5-second penalties, 10-second penalties, all the way up to exclusions from qualifying at the next meeting. There's a lot of stronger cases and things that will be, if a driver has done something really silly and put somebody down to, say, 12th place and they finish second, they will be put behind them in the result to justify, the effect they had on the car that they ruined the race of. But still, we'll get to that behind the scenes, as now Kyle Ridley goes wide on the way in, trying to get the run on the exit. Ooh, Dopart has to get out of that one there, but Bailiff is alongside Taylor Adams. Bit of a kiss there between the two. These guys, and to be fair, These three have been racing together in the SRM GT4 Challenge as well, so they've been well acquainted to each other there in different GT4 cars, but not in equal machinery as Bailiff looks down the inside, can't get it stopped enough. Eric Manenveld now wants a piece of that. Is he going to put his nose down the inside? No, but Ridley trying it on Jake Cranstone. Jake runs a little bit wide before he gets to Luffield. Needs to try and keep it tucked in at the apex. Ridley wants to tuck back in also, but Dopart is there. Nearly. Oh, he's got it down the inside though.
Yeah, now what's Cranstone going to do? He's going to try and give a little bit of slipstream to Dopart to keep these two behind side by side as they get in towards Cop's corner. Look at him moving around trying to play chess and move all of these little pieces about him behind to suit his race. Side by side it goes for second place. Ridley with the outside line, able to carry more momentum through, runs wide actually, and continues to be Dopart, and Dopart actually gets a better run as a result of that. Taylor Adams is going to push him through and aim to get onto the podium now. All of a sudden the race, after looking like it was going to be Ridley getting ahead of Cranstone, Ridley's found himself shifted down into fourth, out of the podium.
Adams now still alongside him, but Ridley's going to be on the inside for this sort of triple left-hand section. But as they go into the hairpin, I was going to say if Adams could keep the overlap, he'd be okay, but no. Taylor does not have enough of a run to keep that. So Dopart back up into second place. That actually means the top five is as they were on the grid as Taylor Adams late on the brakes down the inside. What a lovely move that is from the independent. Just gets rid of the overlap on the exit as well. John Bailiff now in fifth position wants a piece of Kyle Ridley, but that was a gorgeous move by Taylor Adams. Perfect timing, and that explains why he is SRM GT4 Challenge champion. Kyle Ridley, though, not taking it lying down, puts his nose down the inside again, nearly makes contact, bit of trail braking from Adams. Great stuff by these pair. Loads of respect, room given. I say that, Ridley runs a little bit deep. Is he going to leave the room on the inside? Yes, Taylor's going to have the overlap once again. John Bailiff's got a front row seat to this. He's going to be laughing all the way to the bank, but these guys are all in the similar chat. Actually, no, Taylor's not in the chat with these guys right now, but a lot of them, Ridley, John, Jake, all of them, a load of the boys from the Racing Line Jetta TDI Cup are all in the same chat. They'll be having a right ball.
Yeah, you can see that Taylor's not here to make friends, is he? He is locked in as they make it side by side yet again through Cop's corner. This time no driver really runs too wide, and it will continue to be side by side as they get up towards this next corner, this tricky right hander where you switch to the left, and then as soon as you get the car straightened up onto the brakes, shift that momentum over through onto the right, keep it balanced, nice and finely poised once more side by side. But I think Ridley's just going to get muscled out of the way. There's contact on the exit. Adams and Ridley yet again coming to blows. Is that going to slow the momentum down to the both of them, and could we see the Nodaphone of John Bailiff take advantage? He's getting in the mix.
This is fantastic racing by these guys. Absolutely mega. John Bailiff off the back of a podium at Donington wants more of that. Taylor Adams goes in deep. Kyle Ridley with the cutback. That was perfectly executed by Kyle Ridley. That was delightful. He says to Adams, you know what, you did a millimetre perfect move on the previous lap. I'm going to do one now. That was epic by the Australian. Back down the inside he goes. Up into third place. Little bit of a kiss as they go through bridge. Adams back down the inside. Tries not to run wide as they head in towards Brooklands. Manenveld trying to get past John Bailiff just behind this as well. Still an overlap, still side by side. In front of them though, Jake Cranstone is going to come round the final corner and he's going to try and keep that victory. It looks like he's going to do it. He was first and fifth at Donington Park and he's going to take his second win of the season. Who else but Cranstone? He wins from Dopart. Kyle Ridley holds on to a hell of a podium in third place with Taylor Adams just behind him at fourth. It's a run to the line. Then it's Bailiff, Manenveld, Van Olst, Donny Alpha Henriksen just beating JB Mercedes to the line. Jack Wells gains 3 places, puts himself 10th on the grid. But my God, the timing tower on our little timing software here, it's just Taylor past Kyle, Kyle past Taylor, Taylor past Kyle. Let's have a look back at this manoeuvre, Ed, because that was absolutely gorgeous. Oh, it won't move. Oh, I hate that it does that. Oh, we lose it. We'll have to obviously look at that in our own time, but oh my word, that was hilarious. What great racing again.
Beautiful. What a race. It was quiet for large periods of the race, and then all of a sudden it just exploded into action right at the end.
That was absolutely unreal. Jake Cranstone takes the win. Patrick Dopart second. Kyle Ridley and Taylor Adams take a bow, son. That was mega, mega racing. John Bailiff fifth. Eric Manenveld second in the independents. Let's not forget, Taylor won the independents in that one as well. Sam Van Olst was next up ahead of Donny Alpha Henriksen. with JB Masida in 9th, and Jack Wells completes the top 10. Top 10 separated by less than 10 seconds. Shows you just how close this is. Andy Fox was 11th, ahead of Duncan Murray. Stephen Burns having a bit of a tough race, and Ben Bennyworth jumping into the pit lane partway through that one. But now, it looks like Ben Bennyworth is back out with us, though. He's back out on the circuit for the warm-up session, which is good to see. But this is the time of it, Ed, where we have a little break here. But before we do so, what else can we say about that race? That was just magic, wasn't it?
It really was. It was great management, wasn't it, from Cranstone, who had to fend off the assault from in behind. It was actually Kyle Ridley who was putting under pressure from significant portions of that race, and then also all of the battling in between with, as Patrick Dopart was again trying to make his case known for that pole position, for that first place as well. And it's just brilliant battling, and amazed that it didn't come to blows. It was brilliant, and what we love about the boring cars, isn't it, that these Jettas, they can race close but not really unfairly. It's always a great proper touring car door banging battle, but never beyond that.
Yeah, it was really clean. That's the main thing with that. Main thing is it was really clean. So great fun to watch. But yeah, Ed and I will be back in a few minutes time. Just going to take a quick break here on Chaz Draycott Media. Give us a few. We'll see you in 2. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Ed May here for the 2025 fourth season of the CDM British Boring Car Championship. Huge thanks to the championship sponsors Abruzzi, Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Orris Digital. And it has been a great start to the night once again, Ed. We had great racing back at Donington Park in the first rounds of the championship last week. But that race there, well, it showed us that it can be quite chill for a bit, and then all of a sudden they get a bit restless and it explodes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's never calm for long in the British Boring Car Championship. It's usually a bit of calm before a storm, and what a storm it kicked up right at the end. Jake Cranstone did brilliantly to fend off all of the attacks from behind. And now he's going to have to, well, do the opposite. Instead of having to defend, he's going to have to attack himself as he finds himself starting from 10th place with that reverse grid coming up in, well, just a couple minutes' time.
Yeah, it was very, very good stuff. Really close between all of those guys. Eric Manintveld was a little bit under the radar, but he had a very good run up into 5th position by the end, I believe it was. And to be fair, sorry, it was John Bailiff that was in 5th position, wasn't it? And then it was Eric Manintveld in 6th. But he'll have been over the moon to have been right in that lead pack and ready to take the fight to the rest of them. But Jake Cranstone with his second race win of the season. Kyle Ridley with his first podium of the season. Patrick Dopart takes his second podium of the campaign as well. He's certainly been on the money so far. A 3rd, but then a 16th in the second round at Donington Park. Not what he would have been hoping for. I think he had, was it a drive-through penalty that Patrick had during the second one? And then since then, well, he's been going all right when he's not been effectively out of the race. So he's hoping that he keeps it clean, and that's his one drop round, I imagine, because he was out of the points there. Yes,
it'll be something that we hoping for certain. I'm just trying to have a look up and down the rest of the field at the drivers. I know Donny Alpha Henriksen was a driver that was caught up in a few of those moments as well, wasn't he, Chaz? Not necessarily through any fault of his own, but again, there's just those racing incidents that crept in. It's just about trying to, I guess, see the incidents before they happen.
Yeah.
I know it's it doesn't seem like it makes sense, but when you're a racing driver and you get in these situations often enough, you can almost anticipate them. It's something that Jake Cranstone's actually quite good at, is anticipating things and knowing exactly the way that things are likely to go and trying to make measures to either take advantage or to avoid the situation that's coming up.
Yeah, you've got to be one step ahead of the game, I think, and it's not easy to do in this, especially when you're all in equal machinery as well. Very, very easy to fall into a bit of complacency, I think it's safe to say, in races like this. Let's have a look then at the grid for the second race of the night. Jack Wells starts on pole position with JB Masida in second place. He'll be hoping for a bit of redemption after a poor first race. Donny Alpha Henriksen will start alongside Sam Van Olst, with Eric Manintveld and John Bailiff making up row 3. Taylor Adams and Kyle Ridley will go back to battling again from the 4th row, with Patrick Dopart and Jake Cranstone on row 5. Andy Fox is next with Duncan Murray alongside him. Following them, Stephen Burns and Ben Bennyworth, hoping to make more of this second race of the night. The lights come on then, and round number 4 in 2025 for the British Boring Car Championship from Silverstone gets underway, and look at Eric Manintveld go. He gets an initial launch of a dream. That is an absolute fantastic getaway. He closes right up to Jack Wells. I think JB Masida has gotten ahead actually of our pole sitter. He's going to try and sweep around the outside as the independent. This is a perfect time to try and get this done here, with Taylor Adams taking the win in the independents in that first race. Everybody else trying to wobble their way up towards Maggots and Beckett side by side. Jack Wells still on the inside, but JB cuts across with confidence, maybe a little bit too much as he's sideways. Great save. Jack Wells manages to hold on to it though as well on that inside line, and now they settle it down, hopefully, for the hairpin at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, I don't know if they will. I'm going to hazard a guess that Jack Wells is going to try and throw one up the inside of JB Masida. So they're incredibly close together, and he does actually.
Right.
Oh my word!
Oh,
who's
that's
that? Just
Taylor
come
Adams.
across the street there, they go wide on the exit.
Oh, and Ridley
pinch together.
Ridley sideways. Adams gets out of it as well. Cranstone in there as well. None of them wanted to back out of that. That was a horrible situation to be in. Jake Cranstone has somehow continued. He was right in the thick of it. But yeah, Stephen Burns having to cut across his teammate. Goodness me, that was very messy. We'll have a look back at it in just a moment. Everybody's still running, but I think Kyle Ridley's got a lot of damage. There was a hit there. Donny Alpha Henriksen and Sam van Olst coming to blows. God, I don't know where to look. Dopart down the inside of Cranstone. They continue on their fight earlier. Maybe a little bit of a kiss there as well. No love lost. But the one that lost out big time is Taylor Adams. He's right at the back of the field now behind Ben Bennyworth. Kyle Ridley had visual damage on the front of the car. It's about a foot shorter than it used to be. But he got knocked about all over the place there. It all came about. I think Taylor Adams was the one that went in way too hot into the hairpin. And somehow they all carried on. Let's have a look. So Taylor's on his way in, on the inside line. Oh, he's late on the brakes. And Kyle, yeah, I mean, Kyle's got nowhere to go. Dopart's on the inside. Taylor tries to get... none of them wanted to give it
Jake's
up.
Stuck on the outside, yeah. Jake is stuck on the outside. I think it was all kick-started by, unfortunately, Taylor just braking a little bit too late. Took evasive action, diving up the inside, but then just got collected. And unfortunately, that was... Really, I think Taylor, well, it was a bit of a racy incident. He can't really blame anyone but himself for being in that situation. He, by virtue of just braking late, was in that place he didn't really want to be.
No, exactly. Not an easy place to be at all. Andy Fox and Jake Cranstone side by side. Jake trying to go around the outside through bridge into the left-hander. Ridley all over the back of Cranstone now. Wanted to try and get through. Foxy didn't know he was there, clearly. Turns in as if there's no car there. And now Stephen Burns wants to follow his teammate through as well. Obviously, they need to think about the team's championship, these boys. There's not many incident points to play with, so they need to be careful not to get disqualified or not get a drive-through penalty at least. But JB Masida continues to lead this race. It's then Wells, Alpha Henriksen, Van Olst, Bailiff, the two Nodaphone cars, hoping to get big team championship points as well. Currently running in 4th and 5th position, nose to do tail. Eric Manintveld in the thick of that as well. Kyle Ridley losing out to Andy Fox. Stephen Burns in there. Look at that behind as well. Murray, Adams, they're all closing in, these boys here, Ed. This is just getting to be a bigger and bigger pack of these wonderful Jettas all together. Teammates side by side.
Here we go. Up ahead, like you mentioned, Ridley and Burns battling away, but Taylor Adams, he's going to try and fancy some own benefits, his own way to gain from this situation unfolding. Two teammates again. It's great that we see them brace. They're not just going to fall off the circuit to let the other one by. And Burns now is actually going to try and be a bit of a rig under there. There's contact once. There's contact again between Burns and
Duncan Murray.
Adams. Murray getting through. Oh yeah, Duncan Murray. Sorry, yeah. Adams is the one trying to get past Murray, but managing to hold on. I'm amazed because of that two sort of first and then the second contact. I thought he was surely going to be just slow on the exit and no way to defend, but credit to him, he put his car where he needed to hold on. This was earlier. This is Patrick Dopart now in the Ericsson Hitus Jetta.
This was lap 2, I believe. Dopart is... Oh, that's where he went. I was going to say, he went flying off the circuit and he was off for a while, but yeah, Dopart, not really anything he could have done there. He just bounced off the curb. And then I think it was... Who would have had a good view of that? Andy Fox was right behind it. Dopart and Cranstone. You'll see Patrick just bounces across that inside curb. Nothing Jake could have done here. Dopart's really far over. Just understeers like a pig. And then Jake... Well, again, he had nowhere to go. Unfortunately, Patrick way down the order now and in last place. But he's trying to close back in on Ben Bennyworth to at least get an extra championship point where he can. It's JB Masida leading the way. He's the lead independent as well. He's got Jack Wells, Donny Alpha Henriksen, Sam van Olst and John Bailiff completing the top 5. Eric Manintveld once again finds himself in a train of 6 cars. He started 5th on the grid. He's now down to 6th. And again, he'll want to put a lot of pressure on the back of Bailiff and his teammate Van Olst. He was stuck between the two Nodaphone cars in race 1, wasn't he, Ed? And now he's got to look at the back of both of them at the same time.
Oh dear, yeah, he's going to be to the back of his teeth about these Nodaphone cars, but you won't certainly be sick about the position he finds himself in at this moment in time. 6th place strong championship points potentially coming his way. And, well, the race lead is certainly visible just up ahead, not out of sight whatsoever. So with, well, 18.5 minutes still remaining in this race, there is still opportunity to maybe find himself on the podium, but he needs to be a bit careful and just approach the race steadily. Maybe try and nurse his tyres a touch so that he's got a nice fresh car for the end where everyone's starting to battle with one another. Obviously, in the past, these feature races did have a pit stop so the drivers could just really use all of the rubber, but here, and especially at Silverstone, a circuit that uses the tyres quite a fair bit, it's quite an abrasive surface as well. That's going to play into some of the drivers' minds, and that could also be the reason why we saw so many drivers in that first race take it easy up until the very end.
Jack Wells here with Donny Alfa Henriksen closing right up behind him. But he's now got pressure from Sam van Olst behind. As soon as you have to compromise a tiny bit for the car in front of you, you're suddenly on the back foot and under attack. Van Olst moves to the left-hand side of Donny Alfa Henriksen, trying to find an opening. He goes later on the brakes. Donny doesn't want to give him the room, doesn't want to give him the daylight. They wobble and bounce off each other a little bit. Donny needs to give more room than that, and Sam reminds him, fairly so as well. Donny was very feisty back in the Chas Draycott Media European Touring Car Championship in the days of the Kia back in 2021, 4 years ago now, that series. I can't believe it. But right now, Sam is showing him that, look, you need to give even more room in these, Sunshine. These are more understeery than the Kia, and is that possible? Don't know. Donny round the outside, tries to hold it now as they head into Luffield. Can Sam carry enough speed around the outside? Donny runs a little bit deep. Hopefully no wheel-to-wheel contact, because these cars do like to hop away from one another. Great racing though, side by side all this way around for almost a lap as Sam tries to squeeze him to the inside. There's not really enough room there. Now, careful boys down the straight. Sam is all the way over on the white line. Donny is not giving him an inch, and he's there's a bit of a shoulder barge there. Sam won't like that one. If you could flash the headlights of these Jettas, you would be doing. John Bailiff now trying to maybe avenge his teammate and get past Donny Alfa Henriksen. Sam finds himself side by side with Eric Manintveld. Eric sideways through Maggots and Beckett's. And this is what we were talking about, Ed. You know, one little mistake, one bit of contact, and you suddenly get shoveled out of the way. And Freight Train, Cranstone once again, as we were talking about before, taking advantage of all of this. And he finds a gap in the pack to get past Eric Manintveld. But it's not done yet.
He's got a little bit down to the front of his Jets. That shouldn't be slowing him down too much. Opting to go for the outside line and hope that can help him carry some momentum on the way out of the corner. Once more side by side as they make their way through under the bridge. Watch back from Donny Alfa Henriksen at third place. Look at Cranstone, the confidence to go through around the outside and then in towards Priory. Is he going to make that move stick? Oh, it's again tight as you like.
We'll see in a moment, I guess.
Brooklands. We'll find out. And again, not quite settled to Luffield. It's about the outside line, and because of just how long this corner is, it's a struggle. It really is so difficult, and can't get that move made. Runs a little bit wide off of the circuit. Try and slot in behind Eric Manintveld and try again. Wow,
great racing though. Lovely stuff. Great defensive work from Eric Manintveld there. Put the car in the right place at the right time for about half a lap to hold Jake Cranstone off. Whole field at the moment though, only separated by 7.4 seconds. Not a bad run at all that so far for the British Boring Car Championship. Patrick Dopart will be hoping for a lot more later on in this race as he runs way out wide on the exit of turn 1. Cranstone, I think, has got past Manintveld as they head in towards Maggots and Beckett's. You can just see the red and white car going through in the distance. Andy Fox now will want to try and follow on from him. We'll jump on board with Andy. You can see the fight still going on ahead. Both of the Nodaphone cars now chasing down Donny Alfa Henriksen as well. But once again, great racing here from the British Boring Car Championship. 14.5 minutes left to go here at Silverstone. This is round number 4 of this championship in this entire season. Ooh, drama behind, I think. Kyle Ridley trying it on Andy Fox. Not making many friends in this race is Kyle Ridley. His teammate Stephen Burns goes through. We've got 18 races this season, 9 race meetings in total. Kyle now deciding to concede a little bit to his teammate as, oh dearie me, John Bailiff trying to put the pressure on Alfa Henriksen. to open that door. Donny's best finish this season so far. Well, he had a 9th place in the previous one. And then he had, what, a 7th? No, an 8th place in that previous race, actually. So that was his best result of the season so far, because he started 3rd on the grid. So to get a podium will go down very well. Jack Wells as well. He'll want a podium. As Kyle Ridley now into the pits, that is not of any surprise. With the amount of contact he's had this race, he's clearly triggered a drive-through penalty. That is a big shame for Kyle. Good start to the night with a 3rd place. 2nd race of the night. It's going to be probably a 14th at best, subject to any other drive-throughs or retirements. But it's JB Masida still leading. Jack Wells in 2nd place. It's an unlikely duo at the front, with no disrespect, gentlemen. I mean, JB finished 4th, actually, in the 2nd race at Donington Park. Jack finished 7th. So these guys, you know, they're certainly front runners, but again, it's just so close in this championship that you never know what to expect. So these guys are going to keep surprising us. The results are going to be nice and mixed all season, but that's what we love about it most here in Boring Cars. About these two teammates, Nost and Bailiff. They were teammates last season, and now they're working together once again to get the most out of this race here in round 4.
Yeah, just about hit the halfway point of the race now, though, so still plenty of time for things to get shaken about. Sam Van Alst on board with now. We'll soon have to worry about Jake Cranstone, who's been reeling him in over the past few laps. You can see him there, got a little bit of damage done to the front of the car. I don't think that's affecting the way the car's steering, it's more just visual. Still, it's not really a comfortable sight, is it? Jake Cranstone filling your rear view mirror. That's Taylor Adams letting Duncan Murray through.
Yeah, there's been some drama there. I think Taylor and Duncan came to blows into Brooklands. I think Taylor's tried it maybe, and then to avoid a penalty, ooh, I mean, it's a big old hit. Taylor tries his best to stay out of the way, but to be honest, I don't know, that's a strange one. Duncan was having a bit of a nightmare on the way in. He's run wide. I think Taylor's got his right to put his nose down the inside there, and I don't know. It was a late one from Taylor, but it was also a late one from Duncan, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was no overlap as he came onto the brakes. So I guess that's where Duncan will give the claim that there was no overlap. How was he to anticipate that lunge up the inside? And we don't obviously know how far Taylor may have overshot by being as late on the brakes as he was. Certainly seemed to be close on the apex as they made contact, but we don't have crystal balls. We can't see into the future of what would have happened if not for this, not for that. We can only go off with what we've seen there, unfortunately, but that's one for the stewards to look at in more detail. They'll have more time to do so. We don't have a lot of time. There's only 10 minutes and, well, 45 seconds now. There's Jake Cranstone. That's basically all the time that he's going to have to play with. Try and get through some of these Jettas and to try and make it back-to-back race victories.
Up into 6th place at the moment then, Jake Cranstone, after starting 10th on the grid, after winning the first race of the night. Top 7 separated by less than 2.5 seconds last time they crossed any of the timing beams. JB Masida holds on to it, started 2nd on the grid. Jack Wells started on pole, and he now finds himself in 2nd place with everybody queuing up behind. There's a couple of duos going on here. We've got Andy Fox and Stephen Burns, Ben Bennyworth and Patrick Dopart, and then Duncan Murray and Taylor Adams. Kyle Ridley, unfortunately, 10 seconds off the pack with damage to his Jetta, to say the least. But at the end of the day, he's got to keep running because he'll get 2 championship points for finishing there. And if you've looked at the team's championship before this, you'll know 2 points make all the difference because the teams going into this tonight were tied. Now, Jack Wells is suddenly under pressure a little bit here. He said, don't fight me too hard, I'll let you through. But I think he might throw that out the window here when it's 2nd place that we're talking about as a potential. As Donny Alfa Henriksen puts his nose up the inside. Lovely move. Can he get it parked on the apex? He can. He's a little bit of contact with Jack. Needs to leave more room on that on the exit. Jack, again, gives him the reminder. Sam Van Alst did that earlier as well. So Donny Alfa Henriksen certainly not showing everybody he's leaving all the room in the world tonight. I think Jack proving more of a point there by moving over to the right-hand side. John Bailiff gives Donny Alfa Henriksen a little bit of a shove. He says that's from a teammate earlier. Still, though, Donny Alfa Henriksen holds on to this. He's round the outside, and if he can carry enough pace through Brooklands without contact, he will keep this 2nd place. He's run very deep, though, before Luffield. What will Jack Wells do here? Oh, they're all queuing up behind now, but somehow Donny Alpha Henriksen manages to keep hold of that one. Jack Wells now wants to try and slide through it. Manninfeld, he's only he's only 9/10 of a second off of the car that's 4 cars in front of him, which is absolutely amazing. But all of this is helping JB Masida for the race lead. We need to go forward and keep our eye on this, though, because Jack Wells down the inside of Donny Alpha Henriksen. Donny's going to go way off into the grandstands. Jack Wells goes through. Bailiff wants in on this as well. Bailiff moves to the right. They're going to be 3 wide down towards Maggots and Beckett's here, Ed. This could be feisty.
Yeah, Van Olst as well taking advantage, getting himself up into 4th place, trying to find a way through into the podium places again. The red ring of Jack Wells gets shifted out and almost sent out to pasture there. As again, there's contact on the exit there. Big hit onto the sort of front left there of the Nodaphone. Again, the Nodaphones trying to work together there. They're going to get some strong points here tonight, actually, all the time in the top 10. I think actually top 5s as well for...
Oh, no. Oh, Donny.
Oh, dearie me. It's all coming to blows there. Donny, I think more frustrated than anything else.
Yeah.
But yet again, this is frustrating Jake Cranstow more than anything else. He's actually gone backwards from where we last saw him. He's now down into 7th rather than 6th. Eric Manninfeld now trying to pine away past.
Yeah, Eric right in the thick of this fight, but yeah, Donny Alpha Henriksen wasn't making any friends there, to be honest. He didn't need to put his nose down the inside. I wasn't sure if it was more avoidance than anything else, though, to be fair to him. Not sure if he was just that little bit later on the brakes, so that was the only place he could find to put the nose of the Jetta. Not necessarily that he wanted to try and lob it down the inside for the move, but JB Masida, there he is off in the distance. 7 minutes left to go with this race, and he's missing a fantastic fight behind. We've got Bailiff, Wells, Van Olst, Alpha Henriksen, Manninfeld and Cranstone all right together. Then Andy Fox is only 6/10 off the back of that. So these lot, well, they're not going anywhere. Jack Wells moves around behind Bailiff. If anything, he's just going to upset the car even more. John got his first podium of the season at Donington Park in race 2, and he wants to do the same again here tonight, although you can't get your first podium of the season twice. Sorry, John. He will be happy with the podium, though, and Nodaphone will be really pleased with 2nd and 4th in the team's points. That's going to mean a lot for them. They want to make a good old charge on Team Jane Fonda for the team championship this season. They missed out on it and missed out on beating Might Just Fit last time, but with Cranstone and Murray, Might Just Fit this season, force to be reckoned with. Wells defends the inside. Van Olst just behind him, tries to overlap to the inside, goes late on the brakes, way too late on the brakes, hits Wells, hits his teammate. A little bit over the top that, as Jack Wells now comes back on. Manninfeld gives him room. That was a little bit over the line there by Van Olst. I don't think that there's necessarily going to be many people that are too happy with that one. What do you think?
Okay, Sam Van Olst. It's Jack Wells who's going to bear the front of it. See, he makes the inside of the corner. It's a punchy move. It's what we want to see, but does it maybe look a little bit worse than it does because just the way that the red ring car reacts to the contact? Jack Wells, obviously, there's a side-by-side contact. It affected the car a lot more than maybe it should have done.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just with
a sim, but
yeah, I think the main indicator there is how deep Sam goes into the corner. You know, he goes past Jack Wells, past the apex, then still hits the back of his teammate as well. So a little bit over the top from Van Olst, but we'll see how that gets decided after the race. There's no live stewarding going on at the moment, though. The fact is that we've got the 2 Nodaphone cars glued to each other like an 8-wheeled Jetta. In 2nd and 3rd, it is Bailiff from Van Olst, from Donny Alpha Henriksen, from Wells, Manninfeld and Cranstone. Van Olst now runs off the circuit, careful of those cones. As Ed alluded to earlier at the top of the broadcast, they can get the cones stuck in and underneath the cars, and it affects their steering and straight line speed and all sorts. Jake Cranstone here with just under 5 minutes left on the clock. He wants to make further forward progress. Van Olst nearly clipping the back of his teammate again there. Jake focusing on the cutback. So easy to push this car to its limit, but so difficult to get a run on other cars around you in equal machinery.
yes, Cranstone though. I mean, I would have expected Cranstone to have made a bit more progress up through the field. I don't know if maybe that damage is a little bit more extreme than we thought, but right now it's just not making that headway I think that we expected for him to, considering how comfortable he looked out in the lead of that first race. 4 minutes to go. It doesn't look like we'll even see him up on the podium as I mean, look out in front. JB Mercedes checked out 2 seconds. I mean, you mentioned earlier, half a second is an age. 2 seconds is an eternity.
It really is.
In these boring cars, isn't it?
He was slower than all the guys behind him on that last lap. Actually, other than Patrick Dopart, he was the slowest car in the top 10. At that point was JB Mercedes, but he's just taking it easy. He's just running his race at the moment, trying to make the most of it. 3.5 minutes to go. He's probably got, what, 2 laps left to go after this, so not the longest amount of time in the world to survive with that 2-second gap. It'll take John and the guys a lot longer to catch him based on the pace difference we saw on the previous lap. John was only 0.2 of a second quicker, so, you know, if he does that over the next 2 laps, he's only going to be bringing the gap down to, what, 1.6, 1.4 seconds maybe. John is going really deep into the hairpin, but then getting the run on the exit. Well, say the run on the exit. Sam van Olst finds himself side by side with his teammate now. Goodness me, how are they going to figure this one out? Manintveld and Wells side by side. Cranstone wants to benefit from that. Manintveld moving over to the left slightly. Jack Wells on the outside and the Team Red Ring Audi. Does he cut across too much on the inside? No, leaves just enough room. Cranstone pounces down the inside of Eric Manintveld. Has to slam on the brakes though, not to go into the back of the very shiny Audi. And now he's going to get sort of blocked in on the inside. Manintveld tries to carry the pace around the outside. They remain together now as Cranstone's on the outer line. He's trying to just hold on. Andy Fox has got a good view of this. Stephen Burns as well. Team Jane Fonda have been a little bit off in the distance during this race. Taylor Adams and Ben Bennyworth swapping places now. Taylor going through to hopefully gain more points in the independents. Although, no, Bennyworth not an independent, sorry. For some reason, I thought he was for a moment. We have an independent lead in the way, though, Ed. JB Mercedes, great stuff. 2 laps to go.
Yes, John Bailiff as well, and Simon Van Os for notified. Huge haul of points coming their way if they can hang on ahead of Donny Alfa Henriksen, who's already, like we've been mentioning, a bit of a frustrated figure so far this race. He's going to be desperate to get onto that podium, get some strong championship points. After obviously the reverse grid put him in that position to start with, he wants to try and get back up there. Jack Wells in behind. Remembering he's been really well pushed from pillar to post, and could he find himself getting another little helping hand from behind as we go on board with Eric Manintveld. Jake Cranstone waiting in the wings as well. This gap somewhat opening up, but it's covered off by Wells there. Nicely done. Now we get into the stage of the race where last time it all kicked off and all exploded into action, and I think now we're probably going to see the same.
Yeah, we'll stay with Eric Manintveld for a moment here because he's got a good view of all of it, really. You can see in front the 4 cars in the rest of this fight, but then behind him as well you've got another 3. Jake Cranstone, Andy Fox and Stephen Burns all wanting a piece of this picture. So close, but this is the British Boring Car Championship, and this is the VW Jetta. This is the race that we want. You know, this is the race that you get. It's absolutely brilliant stuff. It's so close. But it's JB Mercedes then, leading us on to the final lap here. We've had 2 different race winners so far this season, Jake Cranstone and Morgan Burkhardt. And at the moment, actually, Mercedes has opened up that lead. He's gained 0.3 of a second on John Bailiff on that lap. So John is not closing in on him at all. I don't know if he's not quite got the pace of the guys behind. He's having to feel like he defends us. No! Oh, I thought he got disqualified then. I was going to say, but he's not had a drive-through penalty, has he? Side by side with his teammate Sam van Olst. It's maybe not the wisest thing in the world, gents. Yeah, they figure it out before they get into Maggots and Beckett's. Donny Alfa Henriksen pushing like mad to try and gain final positions on the last lap here at Silverstone. Great racing so far once again. Are we going to see 2 cars from the same team on the podium here with Nodaphone? Sam van Olst will have that slight incident earlier hanging over him though. Jake Cranstone weaving around in the background, sending a message to Eric Manintveld. Van Olst has a look, he goes deep. Donny Alfa Henriksen wants to run as well. Nobody else making any moves. They're all just really close together as they head out now down towards Bridge Corner. Jake Cranstone will be championship leader after the previous race. It's going to be nice and close after this one though. There's the same points given in both races, so you don't just have to get one out of the way and then survive for the rest of the night. As Jake looks down the inside of Eric Manintveld, Eric says, no, you're not having the room there, sunshine. John Bailiff holding on in front of his teammate Sam van Olst. But great for Nodaphone to get 2 cars on the podium. But just ahead of all of them, what a great result this is. JB Mercedes had a nightmare first race of the night. But in round 4 of the British Boring Car Championship, he's going to take a win. Not the first independent of the season. Sorry, JB, but he takes the overall victory. He'll be over the moon with that. John Bailiff second, Sam Van Olst third. Then it's Donny Alpha Henriksen. Jack Wells has apparently gone a lap down. What's that about? Eric Manintveld, Jake Cranstone, Andy Fox and Stephen Burns. Patrick Dopart next up as all the guys throw it off the circuit. What on earth is going on? But wow. Kyle Ridley will not be very happy with that one, though, finishing in last place. But
No.
Jack Wells, what has happened there? So he's showing us 3.7 seconds off the lead and still up there on the timing tower that we've got. Oh, no.
Is there a penalty that
Yeah,
wasn't served, so
I
he came across
wonder.
the line?
I wonder if he got a drive-through penalty on that final lap, you know. I wonder. He's already said good win, JB Masida, in the chat. I think those two are teammates at Beast Racing. But you can see the guys now just enjoying themselves and having a laugh.
I've seen the sim. It is showing him in
Oh, no.
5th position. Oh, crikey.
Cranstone.
That's,
That was an almighty accident by Jake Cranstone. Who was it that he hit? I think it was... Was it John Bailiff? Oh, Eric Manintveld gets smashed into by Jake Cranstone. That was hilarious fun. Let's have a look at the race results then, and we'll go over it all in just a mo. JB Masida wins, second independent to take a race victory this season. John Bailiff second, Sam Van Olst third, 2 cars on the podium for Vodafone. Donny Alpha Henriksen fourth ahead of Jack Wells, with Eric Manintveld sixth, Jake Cranstone seventh, and Andy Fox in eighth. Stephen Burns was ninth, with Patrick Dopart eventually getting back into the top 10. Duncan Murray was 11th after his big hit with Taylor Adams. Good sportsmanship from Taylor to give that position back. And it's Ben Bennyworth and Kyle Ridley. Well, a very, very busy night of racing for us, Ed. That was hilarious fun once again from the British Boring Car Championship, but I tell you what, some of these guys have got a little bit of explaining to do, I think. Let's have a look then. There's nobody wanting an interview by the look of it. We'll have to give them a tag and ask them. But I wonder if any of them, because they're all sat in, there's loads of drivers sat in the driver chat, but no one in the interview waiting room that we have. So I wonder if they're all just sort of expecting to be dragged in from there. We'll have to see. Jack Wells saying it was a shame to be barged out of the way every time he was trying to have a nice battle, but I mean it's kind of understandable at the same time though. The contact level is quite high in this championship, but again, you know what? Only one drive-through penalty in that race, despite all the contact we saw. That's quite impressive.
yeah, it was great to see by and large everyone was playing, well, relatively to the rules of engagement in these boring cars, aren't they? Obviously, a bit of contact is to be expected. It is proper touring car racing, so there might be a little bit of bumping and barging, but we do have a driver in for an interview with us now, Chaz.
JB, you must be over the moon, mate, especially after how the first race went. You finally take a race victory. Well done.
Thank you. I'm very happy. I didn't expect that at all, to be honest.
Well, that's the wonderful thing of this championship. It can come out of nowhere. And what were you thinking when you were on the front row of the grid, though, for race 2?
Oh, I was happy. I refrained myself from battling with Donny in race 1 because I wanted to stay in the front row. But then I was 100% certain that I was going to be caught by all the fast guys. And I was surprised that I managed to keep a gap with them at the end.
And what was it like driving this circuit as well? It's not a track that everybody knows, with it being the older international layout, but did you enjoy it? Did you find it a bit of a challenge?
I like this track a lot, actually. I first drove it in Toka Touring Cars 2, like, 25 years ago, I think. So it's been a while, but I love it.
And what are your thoughts going towards the next few rounds in the championship then? Because, I mean, now you've got a good bit of momentum with a win there. Is it just about picking up points and taking it easy?
Yeah, I mean, staying out of trouble, picking up points. I'm not the fastest, but if I can stay out of trouble, I think I can have more good results like this.
Well, we hope it goes well for you, JB. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you know? I'll let you go, sorry.
Well, my teammates, if they're watching the broadcast. If not, well, too bad. And you for a great championship and great broadcast. Thank you.
Thank you very much, JB. Great to have you, mate. Well done again from us here, and hopefully we'll speak to you next time.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you. Bye-bye.
JB Mercedes, the second independent to win a race this season. I'm a bit gutted that I made that mistake because he crossed the line, but yeah, a fantastic night for him though, really. I mean, you know, that first race didn't quite go to plan, but you know what, to round it out with a win, I think he'll quickly forget about race 1, won't he?
Yeah, what even happened in race 1? It was, you know, it doesn't even matter to JB Mercedes. He managed to get that race victory after some brilliant defensive driving, and then made the gap and tried to clear off while they all started to fight him behind, and did a great job at doing exactly that. Again, no other drivers waiting for interviews yet, Chaz, so it's a shame that we won't get to talk to race 1 winner Jake Cranstone, who had a great battle, and
we talked to him enough.
Get some input, but we do yap to him a fair bit because he often finds himself winning races, so of course we end up talking with Jake, lovely as he is, of course.
Absolutely, but still, it's been a great night in the British Boring Car Championship once again. He's just nipped in at the last moment to say hello. Not quite the race 2 to remember for Kyle Ridley, but I tell you what, Kyle, that first race, you were right in the thick of it, man.
Yeah, race 1 was good. Qualied well and was able to keep up with Jake, tried a few moves. I knew Patrick being right there, he was going to capitalise if I didn't make a clean move, and sure enough, that's what happened. So they put me down the third, and with Adams, just had to defend it, and it was a good battle, got to admit. Like, nearly 2 laps side by side, and was able to get a podium.
Well, I was going to say, this circuit doesn't always lend itself to epic racing. It depends on the cars, but you boys somehow managed to find a way to make it extra spicy. It was feisty at the beginning of that one, unfortunately, with contact here and there, but, you know, you guys have raced together for a long time now. You must still have a laugh doing this.
Yeah, we have a laugh. I mean, sometimes it's a laugh behind gritted teeth. Like that second race with the incident, all I got was 12x, and that was it. It was very maniacal 12x's, but that's the rules we play with, and I got that done by it. But I'll just come back stronger next week, and that could just be my drop race.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of next week, Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, another very tricky track, nice and narrow, unlike Silverstone. So what are you thinking about going there?
I'm thinking choo-choo, Jetta train.
Well, we look forward to seeing the diesel train, Kyle. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout-out to before you go?
Oh, well, since I'm here, I will thank yourself and Ed for the commentary, the broadcasting. It's always good to watch back when I finish work and come home. I want to thank work for actually letting me do this, because I should be there.
Fair play.
Straight after this.
That's meant. Fair play.
Yep. That's why I get up early, because I work early. But I also want to thank anyone who watches and to say hi.
Cracking stuff. Always a pleasure, Kyle. Thanks very much for being a part of this, mate. Great to have you, and we'll speak to you next time.
Cheers.
Kyle Ridley there. What a star. What a star. Grateful to him for jumping in last minute for an interview. But yeah, a great night once again in the British Boring Car Championship. Thanks again to Abruzzi, Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Orris Digital for their sponsorship of the series. That's going to be all from us here. I've got a flight to go and catch, so we will speak to you all in a week's time when we go to Brands Hatch. Thanks also again to Ed. Great fun as ever. And yeah, like we say, see you in a week, everyone. Have a good night.
Has done enough to win the last round of the championship and to win the title all in one fell swoop.
British Boring Car Championship, things are never chilled here. Honestly, the cars may be a bit dull, but wow, the racing certainly isn't.
Fastest lap of the race now, Ben Lambert.
Look at Andy Fox coming through the middle, he makes a little bit of contact. Dave Waldock is around and he's off on the grass.
Brayfield tries to go right round the outside.
Smith and Dennis Melchett are off the circuit.